Boshe ni brani This is Chariot.
Yes, this is Chariot TV. Jumedewe reading Romans right straight talk. So and yeah, they will drew pepe na this week in Ankasa say ejemu eshi ejejira so ejaro ashishi wani mu a ebe shishi ukokroboti ashishi ukokroboti a obi be your showdown no this week you know say koso na the week is closing up and the day Saturday afternoon na oko Ghana there omo be sunsun omo sika hye omo a yayo showdown omo so up abamu and in all there's one thing that put joy in me. Not because we'll be a winning and we'll be a losing, no. But because one more prophesy, one more who be amfa. You see, no matter what, don't try to praise any odiphobia. Say, odiphobia ibibia. There's only one person ne prediction so solid and it came to pass. 80 or no. Ena ebia yebebo na baso say oye adwumade in his research or na or survey to ensure say they all cannot no correct no more aka bia o say yankopon say de ayo showdown na eno ena e kire o say erade asem no correct ye kan ye kan ye say nkrofo no de omo kana enye no kre na mpa ene ye hunu bisa but enye no wadesua ena yesua e wo platform we so hi de ye tra hanom a na ye wo nemasua from the book of Romans na da biara o flip through Bible one of the places I would do New Testament very likely say ubekako bie ho the book of Romans because a very interesting book. But sadly, so many years etwamu krono enipa abomoden akeka ensembi from the book of Romans anya sa na Bible no canon. It on this platform, on this program no. What I and my colleague Jonathan Mensah seek to do enyina say bamo modern ma wo no wanya entiase bi ewo asem na wo kanemu entiase bi ewo book no mu ya amount the background of the book of Romans and it's a very interesting background in the sense that so far New Testament Bible na ubie mu a ade a oba be hu it say your various kinds of letters in fact your Matthew, Mark, Luke and John those are not letters. Yeah, the book of Acts, I 5 books, and yet letter. And I say, yeah, call Revelation, and no better pleasing as a letter, not a letter, but a book of prophecy. But the rest of the books now can letters are yatro. So that is one interesting thing about the New Testament. It's the New Testament now, no. 27 books ni nyina no emu mako 6 ena enye letters the aka ni nyina ye letters ya trotro na letters na ya tro no ebia wo ne target group ebi wo ha ye trokoma one person for example the book of Philemon and as a Philemon said the attacker no opanyin bi ano wo Colossae asafo no mu ya Paul cho letter e command trying to tell Philemon say na koa baako edwane ya your friend Onesimus into ongeno back that is an example of a personal letter. Not only that, we have a personal letter from Paul to Timothy, from Paul to Titus. Sa books in personal letters. There are others trauma asafo trying to warn them on certain things. It also are trying to answer certain questions. And so that is what we see throughout the New Testament. But when you pick the book of Romans, it takes a whole lot of, it takes a different angle, different twist in the entire New Testament. Now, the money is interesting, because Paul was not writing to actually address a problem where the Romans, at their brain say address mom. No. And all the other books, Paul kind of wrote them for certain reasons, a bit. But this particular book is different. Now, so I'm trying to address a particular problem in the Roman church, and I say the church at Italy, and it didn't try. So that is something that we want to dig into. The entire Troy, at the beginning of our lesson, this is episode 11. You try to bring to your attention what it was about. Now, me can't say, you have to go all the way back to chapter 15, the verse 24. The entire etesa say from chapter 1 neighbor, Paul is talking about something. Chapter 15 and Obeka Samoa, Ebema the all kind of chapter 1 make it sense a lot. Now, in chapter 15, the verse 24 of the book of Romans, I just taking you back to some of the things that we have talked about so that the and make a lot of sense to you. Chapter 15, the verse 24, no. If I shall say free verse 22, no banner, or say for this reason, I also have been much hindered from coming to you. So Paul has been talking about the need for him to go to the Roman people. No? They can't Roman for, they can't Italy for. Into Italy for, no money Rome. It will Rome for one more Italy. And apostle or letter at the accommodation. No say he has longed, let's say, or pretty sad or per se, or cocos sawm. Now, maybe say hold on with the verse 22 year can so I say for this reason, I also have been much hindered from coming to you. And never be brave a semi-quine. Now, I didn't think that's what ye can have who here pa. But so chapter 1. Chapter 1, the verse a year verse 9, ABC 11. Till the Osman for Paul can will say, for God is my witness, whom I serve with my spirit in the gospel of his son, that without ceasing I make mention of you always in my prayers, making requests, if by some means now at last I may find a way in the will of God to come to you. So Paul has been desiring, to go to the church at Rome, to visit the people at Rome. And that desire was always coming up, say, that Ben menya ho kwan na mako, that Ben menya ho kwan na mako. And chapter 15, Obeka say, he has been hindered. So you see how interesting the book is. He has been hindered. Hindered from what? He has been hindered severally. Say, or try so Roma. We don't know what the hindrance was, what was causing the hindrance, but he gives us something interesting here in the verse 23. But now, no longer having a place in these parts and having a great desire these many years to come to you. Wow. Oh, okay. So, as Paul say, nay, all these years, what tries to become room, but he has been hindered. Hindered by what? Hindered by a near man all year Asia Minor, a honum. In Ephesus, Iconium, Lystra, Derbe, I mean, those areas here from Galatia. And all the areas, never me and Sembi and Pesa the 2-3 men. Number 1, Macedonia. Macedonia. Repeat after me, if you're well. Macedonia. And then Achaia. Kasa Achaia. And at the next place, Galatia. It's Kasa Galatia. Sankro miensa amabodin in Macedonia, Achaia, any your friend is saying Macedonia, Achaia, and Galatia, no. Ni nyina region areas bi. Ena yɛbɔ din sa na nkuro hyehyɛ aseɛ nkuro no bi na mpɛ sɛ metwe wɔn adwene gyina so no nti yɛwɔ kuro bi te sɛ Philippi yɛwɔ kuro bi te sɛ yɛfrɛ no sɛn Ephesus wɔn saa nkuro no nyinaa no ɛyɛ under Macedonia it is sɛ Macedonia area hɔ no nyinaa no ɛno na yɛfrɛ no Ephesus Philippi ɛne Thessalonica ɛne bibi saa areas no ɛne ɛwɔ deɛ yɛfrɛ no Achaia no ɛna yɛ Corinth iti Corinthians no ɔmo ne Achaia fo no ɛne ɛwɔ Galatia ɛne yɛfrɛ mo Iconium Lystra Derbe saa areas na yehu no ɔmo de yɛfrɛ mo Galatia nti wɔn hu saa places wey it was one Paul say areas are miɛnsa a mabodi no ɔyɛ adwuma wɔ hɔ na as at the time ɔtwerɛ verse 15 chapter 15 no ɔka sɛ verse 23 no adwuma ɔwɔ yɛ wɔ area hɔ no wɔwie nti sɛ deɛ ɔyɛ sure sɛ bibia no obesi ne kwan a ɛma no ma room so ɔsɔfo Paul say ɛkwan na bie ama room into ɔba verse 24 whenever I journey to Spain I shall come to you for I hope to see you on my journey and to be helped on my way there by you if first I may enjoy your company for a while. That's what Paul say. Me say Spain area. Now, Spain area, no baba Italy na ako. Because the ship that is coming, no, will come all the way from Caesarea, anase Caesarea, no, a port be a free ho na yede ko Italy. It no say edin Caesarea no tia. There's about 3 Kaiser area. That is the meaning. It Kaiser. Rome for ehena your friend Augustus Caesar no. Enna Herod see sa port no and odin eto so. It is our port no was an international harbor. International port wofo ship or what na de uko Italy. Because one of ports or ship e de akọ Italy. No do Italy a obe person obeto asako Spain or person otena Rome for no nchen kakra. Na so okoso a omo aboa no e wo ne kwan so. So the main reason why we try let away dey akomo omo ne say omo hunu say oba. It is an assembly na ate. Omo hunu say oba. Ana no yi me ne me yire ne me ma yitu kwan eko Virginia ko New York ne na asefo. Enkrofo ne bi wo ho a ye ne omo ekohia wo ho no. Ye frɛ omo ka kire omo anuanom yi ye bo te sɛ papa Paul pom ka kire sɛ da ye bo ye beba ho. What I say ye nua Isaac Boy my friend bra ye beba ho ye ba. E maame Yvonne AJ any sister Lydia or Sanla bi of Virginia me from and I'm ye beba ho. This is the same idea and also for Paul country and say in the book of Rome no or try the command almost or country almost say or baho so say offer the book of Romans sana is out there safer now so baho dia any idea hona ehia and I say me baho no me di kan ko Jerusalem verse 25 but now I am going to Jerusalem to minister to the saints. For it pleased those from Macedonia. It won't as I'm not American. It afe or chere say, oh, me ba menche me bamba me di kan ko Jerusalem. Na de okwe o Jerusalem no. E na ema na kan nsem ahodo e wo book we mu. Na sa nsem na obeka wo book we mu no. And your friend the Jew Gentile prejudice. It no enema bi wo hono mo a Jew for no edu omoni ebu afa Rome for Gentiles amanaman aka ni nyina no and also for Paul epese o address Eti o address no no ka wo mu say me ba ho na niema kra no wo wo Macedonia sawakaya in 2 Corinthians chapter 8 the verse 1 ne ba no osofo Paul kan say odi Macedonia for no wa dance say omo ahohiahia mu nyina mu no omo try say omo de omo sika e na omo niema bekọ akọboa omo Jerusalem. It was say they beg, they employ us to take their gift. Saxam no okase niema na wagigi a odiko Jerusalem no. Obo mpa so kodu Jerusalem a niema no ombesom. Esan say was swas anime nyina de akọ Jerusalem kodu no omka say ye de yenye Gentiles into more, then it becomes a problem. It was one for Paul ne book we no or the address problem a Jew for no war with Gentiles say woman ya mama mu for ne amu kwan say woman emeye Christopher. That is their problem. Eti book ni nyina no obeti say okasa o si Jew for kane and a hela for nso. Jew for kane and a hela for nso. De enti na oyesa. Opeso otwe omo adwin gina se say omo mienu nyina whether Jew or Gentile onyankopon agimotum. Then I'm saying we yet here. Ese yen ya mama mu for mimi say ya manim yetuntumi. Na wo de a esote sa ene wo a wo ka me say ene wo a wo ye Ghana ni, wo a wo ye America ni, wo a wo ye Europe ni a onka eye Jew for no ho no. Ese wo ma wani gye esanse sa nwoma we ena e kire se oh onyankopon amakwan se yen so yen meye akristofo no bi na daachi yen nyankwa. Ewom se Jew for na di kan ba ye de Jew for kane nanso hela for nso ye ka ho. You see how interesting the book is. 80 meno any Jonathan aye chapter 1 ya go through chapter 1 ye wie here and ye tisi chapter 2. Now to give you a summary of what is going on in chapter 1 no. Chapter 1 ni nyina no de ekoso any say osonwo Paul emma what we call nitisis no or shall say can sembi emma last yesu and the kind the eyes of Paul. It from verse 8 eba besi verse 16 no obate I osman for Paul or refer to ono ano. Example, first I thank my God. And we have verse 8 no. Verse 9, whom I serve with my spirit. I make mention. Verse 9, verse 10, I may find a way. Verse 11, I long to see you that I may, into I know, and here can the eyes of Paul. It was one for Paul, can we no say, for I was one for Paul, no, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ. Why? It is the power of God unto salvation for both Jews and Gentiles. The thing was one for Paul, remember, say, medical culture say Jews for no fees, say Jews, you know, Jew for no one Jenny say Gentiles on omu kwan say omu ba Christosum. Omu ya mama mu for Christosum a Jew for there. Or some of Paul say there be o Judaism na na Jew for there, but ba Christosum mu there. Mummi enu ni nyina mu ba bewram. Ti mummi enu ben ya, mienu ben ya, and o kire mu amamu for a patriarchal system no and a Jew for a mosaical system one benu no and what one eba Christosum and what say patriarchal system na se no boni ahodo bebre no mo adie abosonsom sebe gay sem homosexual sodomy e man ne ma homo da mema ne mema homo da ne abosonsom ye koto moa ye koto nantwie yakoto mepo yakoto nsuo tano ensuo de ben anto nsuo saa ne mani nyina eye amama mu fo na aye saa ne ma no ento mo ye bone ene ye chapter 1 no ana o say enya wo mo a omo ye saa ne ma no nkwa na emom omo nso a wo mo pene omo ye saa so nti omo ye gay advocate for omo a wo mo say religion obi anya de ope And what Akwaba 80
yeah.
Joe be more some of the things we have talked about. It's over chapter 2, and that's how chapter 1 ended. Chapter 2, no, and over can't say, oh, actually, our mamu for no more yes, and a man in ano, or why bonnet no crack. But Monson Jew for no Monso sono, Mona mu wambrano, Mona mu crown yango pombrano, Monso Kowie saying. Monso sono, Mua mu wambrano mpono, Shabonea moody. Mua. Eti uba chapter 2 tensembi wa okay. Chapter 2 no. Or say therefore you are inexcusable. Jonathan say inexcusable na ho no. Echere say all mama mu for nsem na no. Enna Jew for no sorry so mo kono say mumra wa. Sa se nyam kan. Yes ana me hu no ha. Jonathan kan. Because me na me ho. He say prophet abawi ase no show down benkaho besrewo Jonathan say I'm due for that sorry so mo kono so have say there be you are not excused mumra back muna mukuta mra no
say no imagine you say your phone court
oz muna mo ko there be mun samra and o se hwe mo a motesa no mo fi say mo betima despise onyankopon ni goodness no and in the forbearance and in the long suffering to onyankopon ne bo a cherry and say we say ato no bo ase amamo and say the name ase akọ mo fi say mo fa mo ho adi ana there be that mo fa mo ho ni and after o sha ase say o kan sem and some do small for Paul abroswa na last week baby dey end there no verse 14 to verse 16. And I'll say, for when Gentiles who do not have the law, by nature do the things in the law, these, although not having the law, are a law to themselves, who show the work of the law written in their heart, their conscience also bearing witness, and between themselves their thoughts, accusing or else excusing them in the day when God will judge the secret of men by Jesus Christ according to my gospel. Just one more Paul, asema ahai all can na say. Ye can say. Jew for no e de omo mbra onyankopon tworo mbra de ma omemra nsem du ene de kekan wa Mose de ma won Jew for omo mbra Jew for mbra o say no kre Jew for mbra ba mama mu for no omo onyankopon tworo mbra bi amra wo nanso so no ka say wo mu ni panyin ye kan panimfo ankom na e panyin esan say Mosaic covenant no Mose ede no eye achire kra na Mose onyankopon ma okoyi Israel for free nkwaso mu nanso onyankopon bo enipa efri fitiase no oni nipa nante ye okan bibi kire nipa ototo niama e wo nipa abrabo mu saa niama na ototo ye no abaye nsen na ho abaye esu ne ban ama nipa nyina enti saa esu ne ban a enipa nyina namu no eye a nature a part of their nature. And yes, sir, enipa no trans and wadwin de ope eno odeyo debi. Ebinum kwa church say, de wo wakoma mu de eda wakoma so de ususu a wodwen ho no. Eno na wo ya na kire say. Ena mi shan me kai say preacher bi asem okan ni say, on say krobia mu no omo mbra eno omo a tradition no omo awusuo. It is sad de no say omo ya ekere say onyankopon de anu ne bebu omo aten. That's not the point that the Bible is talking about. Says our point in it there, then what it means is say onyankopon or kwakofo krobia somra e de abede e de bebu aten. Now this is the problem. Oko Ghana enye bone se ubeja awade. Told me sir. Over America ha ubetime share nipa awore be se 4-5. Because on my name, my coin say, Utimi.
Jawa de.
Jawa de. Oba kroma.
Oba mbako Ghana hakra no. Abaina nkasa abaina lutu system.
Lotto gambling. What do I say? Abain makwan say ye gambling. Enti amra. Eti say Onyankopon kofa enti wo de adwen ho asem na eka na pese mote Bible ne ade na se. Esan say ye nema bebre aka nema bebre a enye no kra o Bible mu. Yes, na Bible no ka. Eti over the years na yatete sa asem so omo awuso omo krom ho mbra ene se de omo sigi nema die na Onyankopon gina so de abu omo aten enye no kra. Ye ka wa fide we so say obi biara o waka sa ebia na onim na wonso ka bia sesa wadwen. It says that is not what the Bible is saying. What the Bible is saying is say Onyankopon free tete no a obo ade no a oni nipa nante ye no oni Adam nante ye no oni Noah nante oni Noah man nante ye oni Abraham be nante ye no na esu ni ban bi wo ho Onyankopon hwehwe free nipa ho no hwehwe se nipa be nante sa esu ne ban no mu sa eniema na Onyankopon ni nipa yo ye no ka kire onipa no ewom se wanchro no abo pon so ama wo ewom se wanchro book mu ama wo nanso wa expect say wo mbe sa no mo anye sa no Onyankopon ema enkrofo wo po wo se mo nkonam koye de mo pe it doesn't mean say o support de o mo ye no de mum so kan no mu ntia a wo po wo eti osofo Paul say enam say Onyankopon enyi ne ho adi a kire wo mo na frititi nyina wo nim so onyame bi wo ho a wo mo amfa nyame na anya adwuma no sa emra na no mo nim wo mutrim no mo bo sa abrabo no sa amra no eda so ye adwuma wo mo so na se wo mo tie Onyankopon na so ohu sa abosonsom nye otwe ne ho firi ho a no oni ni fie de o meso Onyankopon a na se onye niema emfata then e wo mo se yen chomra ma nu nkura ye de nanso na wusuo a yen tititititi nananom abrabo a Onyankopon ne won boye ansa na ono ye be wo no no sa ofa sa kwan no so a oba bedi Onyankopon mra no so without even knowing say emra wei e wo Onyankopon mra no mu e na wo e dey odi so. That's how interesting Osman Paul asem na wo kan etie enti no se omo eba no mbedi sa mra isu dia ena na omo te se wo a uni mra no na wonso udi so eti se me te ai minim emra ewo Australia. One of the places ebia continent amemfa meni nchire hoda Australia. Se metra ha na mi di mra bi so Nasa Australia ni ba no say, oh, why did you do that? So, I think this is the right thing. No, because oh yeah, in Australia too, it's a law, and so that is exactly what we also believe say yeah the right thing. Naturally say, a woman say me new Australia there, nanso enam mawusuo ne mmara hodo e de atete me wo ha ntino ama Australia there no me di so without even knowing say Australia mmara ena me di so sana oka ewo chapter 2 eti mu amamamu for amuni mmara no se mu ju for mo tra ho ma sankrofo mu ni mmara no wo mutimi ye niema eye right ewo Nyankopon nim wa bra mo amwo mmara no mo nya ene na wo mo mmara no eye nim guase mamo na eye a benefit or a profit to those who don't have the law. That is where we ended. Joe, so we'll be at the cancer na to us.
Oh, I said nyina na waka no. Na man for can why nyina wa bobo no tofa oyi ni yi ama ho ada ho. Na obi a wotie ye no ebehu ni say sad set here. If I say no waka no, the difficult chapter, the Ezekiel passage the book of Romans mu no from verse chapter 2 verse 14 to verse 16 verse 15 mean kan say nipa pi adan dan na sini triase nanso wa biem ye amantiase na ba say wahusuo mu e ka say wahusuo mu a long standing practice di ansana Yakopon de Mose mreba no na mra no eba wo Mount Sinai so no na nipa ni wo wiase na boni wo wiase a che say onipa bibi na kupomra clearly and one what can me person be course yenim asem no so verse 17 if verse 17 even Paul is now going to tell the real one of the Jewish problem Jew for no more how back and my main can say is it's not only a problem for the Jew but essentially it's a problem for the religious people. Okay, Jesus Christ encounter with Pharisee for no one of his major charges was that they are hypocrites. One of his major charges. Pharisee for not necessarily say they were very schooled with the law. They were people who know the law, they can quote the law, they count titles and jots and things in the law, but their problem was hypocrisy. And that is what Paul can about the Jews, that one of their problems is hypocrisy. And a Christopher so ye said a bear and so fire home. Say yenso so young kofua hypocrite. See, or can't some no, but or act differently. They all can come, and they all young come. I was the air can the no and anti the air cano, and the air and anti. Unse answer the bekan crano as my funny etibakuni mubakuno as my funny Acts chapter 1 verse 1. Look Petrol say, I can't hear whom I'm my old two flow ever the Yesu Christu a church ye now ye. Jesus practiced and he taught it. He taught practiced. The Yesu church and then now war yen nanti. Nasana yanko point here say beye. Usia de Yakubu say, Nenny tea na ne yenso. Nenny tea enko ne ye. Ni tie de obia tie. Pues nyame pa china. Ye be shame rade da ne tie. Ni tie de ye tie. But utie for a few for no. James say na ayareho. Or the say ujina yuhmu a ohwe n'anim ano. So Paul is coming to talk about the problem of the Jew. And verse 17 will say, but if you bear the name Jew and rely upon the law and boast in God and know his will and approve of things that are essential, being instructed out of the law, and are confident that you yourself are the guide to the blind, a light to those who are in darkness, a corrector of the foolish, a teacher of immature, having the embodiment of the knowledge and of the law, you therefore who teach others, do you teach yourself? I don't know what kind Nina boom said about the professor.
Yep.
Oh, and it's quite interesting. Say the Jews were relying on the law. I say, I rely on the law. Akunyano. Sana akwe. Akunyana jija eshi. Akunyane bua maswa eshi. Sanso na tiese na Jew for ajija them emrem. They go around telling people we have the law. Any watchre, your trensem, they rely on the law. Not only here in Paul can be upon that demon so most Jeremiah kind say Jew funny and Kofana only to I saw down also. The temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord, Jeremiah chapter 7. Jeremiah say, Yankopon and Babylon super say crew you, most such advene. Was no your temple, no, the temple is still standing, the temple is still standing, the temple is still standing. And it was amazing how people can rely on certain things, thinking that God is like a talisman. Yankopon to say, you see, my main problem from was that is now I dream say rosary a palm for. I don't know whether you had that experience.
Mete.
Yes, they own a musum na so.
But it's a yeah, SHS na omachi chede de da omukum. Those days I have a trap £10 and they are no.
Yeah, unia.
Now open for their bro nene.
My first now pebia to kumunya. Yes, so nam sumu kwetimi so. Eh, ada say.
So.
Answer private so. Unia, talisman. Oh, nipa rely on things that really don't matter. And fahon. Oh, that's the cast of it. And that's what Paul is telling the Jews. Say you rely on the law, you boast of God. Say we have God. Yeah, sometimes what we do same. Church of Christ in Yame. You see, sometimes we create that impression that see that God is locked within us.
Yeah.
No, God is not. God is not. Nyankopon tesa. Nyankopon is not locked. Nyankopon your pet any nipa of fair nasem, not nasem ye juma. I like it how Peter put it in the book of Acts chapter 10 verse 34. Peter said, "Hey, I'm pana me hunu. Na adwene ye se kane se as a Jew for Nyankopon ani gye won." If you say if we chapter 2 no about the book of Acts chapter 2 no about to chapter 9 no near Jerusalem ye kanya mesem as a Jew for na etie gye Nyankopon asem ni die e ba Nyankopon nchen. But Peter ko hunu Cornelius fie no say, "Hey, I'm pana me hunu. In truth I perceive that God is not respecter of person. Nyankopon hwe ni pa ni mu yim na oman biara mu oman biara your fere rade na opeso yesitie mano opeso ogeno."
Yep.
And that is what Paul is telling the Jew, that you boast yourself, you rely upon the law, you know his will. Let's say unim na pedie Nyankopon peni unim. You approve of things that are essential. Utina hona wo kasache nipa de hia na o kache nipa say nipa nye say why you who say we bra for law school no akro o kiremra for teacher of the law why are there? Also you are confident in yourself. Why you who say one more money afra no na o kire won kwan kire won for you are blind, teacher of the blind. And those in darkness, you have portrayed yourself as someone who is the light unto those in darkness. Say, you are the light unto people who are in dark. No,
ahano esa uchirem. Hwamu na omo eye light no a omo hu hwamu so omo na
say Jew Paul hwa ma memu for say omo de esuma duru. Yep. Esuma duru. Ana omo sa so hu ama na memu for ne say omo yankofo a say bi omo yankwasiafo. You see, okay. Also, you are a corrector of the foolish. A teacher of the immature. Yeah. I like how Paul said it. I say having the law, the embodiment of knowledge. The word embodiment in mind, this is the kind of New American Standard. King James, New King James, because a form. The word is morphe. That's the word we get metamorphosis. Morphe, an outline, a sketch. An embodiment,
yeah,
like an outline. See,
yeah,
outline. Miti bienim. Kekani yenim trenya mesumpa.
More like the skeleton.
The skeleton. Miti bienim. It's not enough knowing Bible passages and saying that this doesn't. It's not enough. Miti ne womuno enene yeno. Miti ne womuno. Oh, I can quote Bible passages. If you go to Bible, why are there? That is the skeleton. What about the meat? And now Paul catching on say, well, you have embodiment of knowledge and of the truth. But in one more day, no, there was second, I think 2 Timothy 3 or 5. I say you can't change a then so what one more day. You have a form of godliness. Form. The same word form, morphis, is the same word that is there. Form of godliness, form of knowledge. But say and verse 21 now we can see say, you therefore who teach another, do you teach yourself? But I think this might be a very good sermon for preachers, I should say.
Yep.
A good sermon for preachers. I remember some years ago, one elder be at the Meko. One of my elders at the Meko, Cape Coast, Patemho baby, a Krabiase, where he arranged for preachers in the vicinity, by na a lectureship. And I was giving the talk to talk about preaching and what it means to preach. And one of my points, I'm a kind of say, if you're a preacher, you're a Christian. Sometimes we lose the fact of that side. Say I say catch them for, but ansana. First of all, catch them. Catch them. Preach it to yourself first. I like this word I call it a silhouette. Hey, I did how word we men can't SMP, but well, that's the word. A form, a silhouette, an outline, a skeleton, but not the substance itself. Oh, and I was pointing out to the preachers social and I make us a make one some. He said, Abedi my sempa ukuri. Unia niema akoso nipa niema akoso kuro mu so ye bende kaka nyameboa. Oh na preachers are someone make na be catch on say nya no. A bread we say ye kasa che ya ye ho so. Oh, it's good to talk to people, but first of all, let's talk to ourselves. DJ Clark Eka Tuli, I don't think it's the Tuli, but he made a story. Say there was this young guy, small boy, was of course Sunday school now. They be other never Sunday school near day. And a teacher in one Sunday school, one Sunday or so, Ubu say some crown a juma on bay. We see me a doctor, me engineer, and our crown was not a stubborn or high general class or teacher. And I teach any person and say, then I'll be a Sunday school teacher with also made preacher. And I was really? I did not be a preacher. No, see, the way I figured it out is this. I've figured it out that my mother would definitely bring me to church always. And it's good, it feels good to stand and yell at people than being yelled at. And that was what he thinks. Sometimes that's how we think. I mean, it feels good trying to point out that people are doing this, you are doing this bad, nsanomye winye atronye obo yerenye ono yerentine yi osori a wo ye ori sei osori a wo ye sei oni man for the da. I mean these things is feel good trying to tell people that, but the question is, have you told yourself? It's kind of high sports moments in there. Have we told ourselves? Maybe Bashada a best will be a preaching kakra. Have you told yourself?
And yo, as some way I can on wow frame jai. Wow frame jai. Wow frame jai.
Unia, nipa fro better jai.
Me am going to cry. I am going to say
no better.
I don't know.
A better jai say.
O say.
A better jai so nim say o say.
Jai. I was for the woman ni. We preacher. Metaka Sassen we say. There's a high possibility say every time I do, ube be a Bible muno. Now kope bibi a wo.
Yeah.
The probability that obey as a preacher no. Best 99.99%. Say we a preacher. Sometimes you sincerely would decide to say bibi for yourself. Yo, whenever you know now watch. There will see for yourself now. I feel no I shall say true. Now you say watch no my dream ade watch running in our dream wo my how I'll be say preachers are the way. How I'll be say preaching. It's young preachers there. Yeah, a thought that be am say yeah more brono soon. Because you better a preacher will preach a lot of messages. Now one can say won't guide you preach here. Because you did not preach it to yourself. And sometimes I saw baby able to make shower catch or say, hey, also for maybe you preach last time on way pass. I've been not one way crowd didn't track. I say, oh yeah, and so boy. Okay. Because almost every bit is in your congregation, you're sure say almost every Sunday be on our preaching.
Yeah, I have been preaching for now. Say Sunday, I say a year be one here. Man kasa kra, the least I think will be like 45 apples.
It would imagine say you are preaching every Sunday. You are preaching every Sunday. Media and San Rodebia were me preacher in a year no. At that time, will be 18. What did I say? Because we had 3 preachers. And sometimes we allow elders to also come in and preach. 80. Abia, the more everyone may preaching more. Radio so, any Abia TV so, any Ijum. What did I say? Na me call Abia Cantamanto. Na me call preacher Kaneshi, any other places. It then Peace FM, UTV, Bema were preaching more in a year. But the truth of the matter, I say, all these preaching are we Joe. the likelihood say you prepare to go and preach, you prepare to go and teach others, high. Now one kasa, one fa ebimu aba. So for Paul can say me just okay, I'll say me preach chairman for you, me so man
get Anthony, 1 Corinthians chapter 9.
Yes.
Verse 26 or 27, one of them.
80. Then you have that, potential, say, one kasa, preaching children. And until Joe, Debbie American say, it is better, say, you be less militant in what we preach about. Trying to tell a uncle why denomination say, hey, why we are Dan say, Joe, yankasi eke bi achire ho yankasi etna say okay abrabo we am igbo ekosen jo we a preacher another thing is dangerous apart from say who preach chira nkrofo na wa won ka bi nchira ho eye prejudice asoroba bi e wo ho no mo a wo form wa dwen about asoroba no because of one or two things because on abrabo bi nsem bi a oye ba wanim ntino wo form bibia afa no nti ne ho asamba sesi a wo beka sa ono kwano no prejudice. What man say? These are some of the things that likely say ever happen. Now, as for Paul nailed it. Joe, so the way see through verse 17 no bana. Joe is serious. So Becca say, indeed, you call a Gentile and a Jew and rest on the law and make boast in God. And so on kinds of boast in God. Joe on boast to obeying. So on our wombra, on our temple nisio, on our sabio, enipena enim se o nyankopon a oya tiasefo nyankopon a. What about who ye ne o nyame no? Osman Paul say, wo na wo nyame no, remember one thing. Wo nyame a, remember one thing. Remember say, Joe, wo nyame no expectation from you. Or say, you know his will and approve of the things that are excellent, being instructed out of the law, and are confident that you yourself are a guide to the blind. And I'm so, wow, there be our church and crofo, there be an who preach, there be an who pushy people to know the truth. And so you know the things, and you want to be a light. Una who say ukutakania, obia ni wachi, omo mu wachiro nyina ye, omo osumu, ba ukuta touch into omomra. Nancy Soron, what happens? Oh, they won't know. As one more Paul Becker, I say, you who preach that a man should not steal, do you steal? What I shall say, or say, you therefore who teach another, do you not teach yourself? You who tell people they shouldn't steal, do you steal? You who say, do not commit adultery, do you commit adultery? You who about your friends, about idols, do you rob temples? Nema we nyina ye nema ene nema who preach against no. So what's the problem? Enanum enya bonsam honhum bi ena esao. Enya say we a preacher bonsamo tatao eno krese bonsamo ni sa wo sabakani ni de. But the truth of the matter they say wo sabakani no also wa kono wo feelings or choices. It's the possibility say over falling into a sin a very high, especially when Obia expects something about you. How many people and a to say preacher ekuta kanea efri kromu ba kanea emono kanea neat ye onsoye ba ekura no and odi free kromu ba. How many people na bedwen say ensa na wum?
Kanea no ka the shade, sa shade.
Kanea lantern ni bi. How many people na obehia preacher okuta kanea onsoye?
Now just that
apetition and there was kanea. But I can tell you, say, Joe, and your preacher, with the Church of Christ preacher, but SDA, I'm sorry for you. Oh, yeah, seriously. SDA, I'm sorry for you.
Also, look like Kanye says, I'll go to crazy.
Or the Kanye, I'll come baby a tongue and son.
I saw go to crazy.
I am go to crazy. As always, and you're now, when I'm on 40 annum, say, Sakania way, Papa, will cry for years.
And
shade, the Kania shade, and when you're black in that, Kania so a year. Kania way more, Joe. Emma, and unquan or on soda. You so saw that they be also kuto crazy. Joe, say appetition. I know kupu gum.
Na the seriously.
It that's the problem, Joe. Ekoso, ewo your friend is saying. Yeah, who say one say ya, obadwe so be who, and it's true. The likelihood so obi mfa susu say wo no be san high.
Yeah, high. Because I mean ujina ho preach so your man with the highest moral standard.
Exactly.
We give you the highest moral standard someone can. So within your I'd say na me tie nyom music na which one was now otie sanyum we be. The person was shocked. Then the song is not bad. The song is just I had to say be a match the day bonyum. I mean, but though it's not a match the day. It's these new people guys here, but the song is not bad. But the mere fact said the panel says we met say you more a hymn oh like a hymn or what is labeled as gospel music. The mere fact of
black shock say
yeah, so they give you, and sometimes that weird high standard as a
yeah.
Oh, na konya kra I saw them ruby or akonya I saw them ruby ntina. I saw the whole time or something I don't know, but the mind that high standard boko comes now or and bugio. And
Jonah and the essence say any partner of high standard no. Almost expected. I mean, more example so that it will make sense. Ghana for one Nebraska, like Corona will not plat. He decided say you be shame. They shame no. And me phone are connected to speaker and I bought you. Now bought a Mark friend saying Mark Abraham. Mark Abraham in and then maybe them microphone na baby didn't come on. Them tell and say omo friend say omo pe nyom de aman kwala no de aye chair dancing competition. Na lady ba kwaba me cry them my bre me nye bio. Nti be am say what is the problem? Us o phone no so my ya nya nyum papa bia mfa nya yi na. And I'm say adai na nyum de se bebre no so os ni nyina akwa him ne asoro nyum nko a ade osofo ela omu nyina da form na twitwitwi and say nanka okoji sofo say okopa nyum so nanka nyum be na o expect
yeah.
Now Joe, it gave me an indication be say Dear, ababa ne kan you. Sa ababa we ya nko okobie mi so mayi no so no. Ana kanyi ma wo so.
Okohu ayi akwa omonyum pay.
Akwa bero no.
Kom sikeni.
Why?
O se kom sikeni so ni no a.
Oh, there be and me tell that.
Le onya daji a hwe chechi. O se omonyansa bi omonyansa me fa sebi mra omonyansa nyom da.
It could imagine say this person call me phone so I don't go who sa nyom no sa and kade na obadwene. Ko badwene say hey also for pan and you will go phone so the people themselves have expectation. You the preacher, you also have some expectation for yourself. But I see anyone asama ye kan wa ha I who here and say that expectation should not just be a mind or a thought or just a non keke. It should be something oh yeah. At the end of the day, no. Obiara onimu no efa o standard no aka say no cre. Onipa no yesampakani. Because the first thing ye first as sampakani say the Joe kan no eyo Christoni. I can't say be Keith Mosher or Memphis School of Preaching. Also, there's nothing like a better Christian. Now, Sasam no Shasa no can one I won't tell you. So there's nothing like a better Christian. Because I dare better no actually say, oh, compared to Bibi Fofro. Now we a Christian now. That is the ultimate. Others say the ultimate, your friend say, the apex, the highest level of moral standard.
There's nothing better than Christian.
There's nothing better than Christian. If you can say, I want to be a better Christian. I want to be a Christian.
You can be a matured person.
A matured Christian. What do I say? But I say, a better there. Be a better in Christian, being a Christian. Now, this is the problem. And say you're better a Christian and still do certain things. It will better say, well, I'm a Christian. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not an angel. No. That's a tautology. Because if I'm passing a Christian there, then that is the perfection. That is the level you are supposed to be. But it does not mean say you would never falter, you never make a mistake or an error. You will never fall. That's not the meaning. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that once you get to the level of being a Christian, that is the highest order of expectation on your power for any human being. So, be a Christian. And you know, that is a standard. Now, that standard way, you know, and I will bet tomorrow. A mistake, not falling, and then you back up. You keep going. You don't sleep. And I say, menya boy jamadi no. And it does not also mean that temptations are not going to come. Yo, ete oware o yiri winsha oba. Oshana oba we de oye kama we to aka na wonka.
But now atuma obuze we mi ya no.
Okay.
Asoma obusa bi opa ni ye fi won na wa musa wa ho
be seminar me question
o background no ntie o yiri be pray no tie a no ho ana o musa wa ho na o pese obusa me na nimre opa asoma ma me
enti o worry what's your ma omo ho ofe sabi e cha o yiri but that does not mean say Coco Chasey. You face other temptations in life. That does not mean hey, we a preacher umbetima chiro pa majo umbetima chiro ka u chantro bi akasika bi bedi wo ho. But o decide say no, oh yes I did. Jo umbetima decide say ubekwa kope bibi papa bi aye. I this papa in the sense of bringing money. But there's nothing better than being a preacher. So what I say, ain't you know, all these things will come your way. Thought I'll be trying to one say, now me crap bra me brain now. What's the case? After all, Joe man preachy, now me try church in one, met him up on me bra for heaven, and I'm a boy. I don't need to preach to go to heaven. It is a man preaching, I'm timber. What would be the problem? And after when you bounce and I do preaching, what jai? Because after all, you don't need to be a preacher to go to heaven. It's my point is that temptations like this, will come your way. But this is what you do. You keep on fighting. You keep on dodging all these temptations. You keep on jumping. Joe, say Osman for Poanka say it is shameful say we are Christiania and are we a preacher. Joe, it is shameful say we feel tempted. He didn't say that about sexual things.
Yeah.
He said, who are they?
Johnny.
Adiano, and ka also for the identity so Johnny. Also for the senka no Joe. Oh no, and can ya dear can say a problem out. But some of Paul say, Johnny. In other words, we a preacher no. Yes, say green blood and min kwamini nipa mi moja ye blue. Joe. Because of Team Papa Winti.
Mate.
What I say? Ye nyina ye moja a red. Ye nyina ye moja oxygen running through. Oh, the carbon monoxide and running through. It run from these things. It to the point and say, and I'm say sanema obetima ba wakwa emuntino. Ubetima hwiase. So never deceive yourself, say you are above the members. Never deceive yourself, say, oh, your son will be our church anymore. Never deceive yourself, say, oh, dear, oh, no, oh, so no more mark our form. You are one group of people. And when you go a task, say, oh, na semono, wo, bohu de uro sorry no. Obi so adwuma say, enyan na wa sorry no. Whilst I will preach bohu de uro no. Woman should be in line. A young should be shaped in line. A young should be controlled. Some yet the unyame person moye. And on the elders no. It will be a problem with sa eldership a human pet. A one of our sonibia. But be technically and I say sincerely within you no. When you are say would oh quite your yanko pansem. But now quite your yanko pansem Joe. Also, our poor assembly say, yeah, I say, yeah, well, young no. What do we do?
Yeah, she preach my mentors one. I'm saying
to verse 25, no.
25 boom. I mean, can't 21 camera say, you therefore who teach another, do you teach yourself? You who preach that one shall not steal, do you steal? You who say that one should not commit adultery, do you commit adultery? You who abhor idols, do you rob temples? You who boast in the law, through your breaking of the law, do you dishonor God? For the name of God is blasphemed among Gentiles because of you. That's what it's written. Or say unti, or say Yankupodi amamemo.
Yep.
That is disheartening. Say obitimi born you say unyami sumpuni.
Now be your crumfo.
That is a real
it's a shame, Joe. It's a
shame.
Shame. Say a nipa ebema na brabo ama obi akasete nyankopon. One of the things I'm talking and say Joe, what no more me carry those days campus. Yo, what no more? Like people see you and they like floss. What must I say? Yo, oh yeah, Church of Christ ni na konti always around. Usiwo now tietiem. I say always around. Na Joe, omo eyi sabe be on here now so be now the dim ye no be a bojo so na awudi omo asai bi yo na katanga ho na udi sa omo ibi no omo yese na udi asa na uro ho na o yesa na mani nyina enti wo no so obi bete say we pre Church of Christ ne a onye sure say ugu Nyankopon anim ase. That's the point Osman Paul is making here. Say mumunti ena ogu Nyankopon edin ye gu hu fi. Etiro wo adwuma mu sabio bo adwuma mu fo etu kwan akọ ba bia do pega sabio buru sabi monimu a do pega nkwase anwum bia na eyewa etu wo wi a na so bi ka se obi the Bible asem I am pan so obi ko pega Bible asem ba sesi a obeji aka sesi a chechem a kire ni pa no se wo mo ye wrong ne ade eti wo no don't you think say wo gu Nyankopon anim ase? That's the passage the Bible is talking about. And sometimes Joe the ya brabo aye bowo impo asafo no ene asafo na chi do ye ne nuan ya asem a the way see a person handle no impo in the church but you be say ene ka media phone na bete then I pass out kire ubegu church na anim ase ubegu asafo no anim ase at the end of the day no why na ugu na anim ase me church na nyame dia ebi I'm just a preacher in that congregation yo ebi I'm a preacher kwa mi wi ameko ba se ubegu church na anim ase ma media no eba be hu se church we jadam ntokwa to mu a why na ugu na anim ase me shadraka there be meko baro Nyankopon asafo no ne dia no na ugu na anim ase ewa amama mu eno no Osman Paul e ka no ha no enti eye pass ye beka sa asem ama ye nuanom ate se yen ye preach kira fo no enti em preach nkira ye ho se yenti amama mu fo bu Nyankopon se mo amusu mu ya Kristofo mponi
nanse ya nyame nka nanse ya baako sorry sa ewo oboase oboase and it was bad. See, yena itimi ekache nkofo say mo sorry a mudi brunya ni ade ine jabe yena ye kache nkofo say
oboase nko a
me bia brekum baako ayi Asante region he adaban daban omko asori kwesi da na kwabrane asisan credo no palox no asori ne palox no ono a bie atofoforo e de atutu ni nyine mo lock
say eba manim woni mo de ba manim woni mo de ba manim
wani
Christian Ghana mo friends Christian Council for
it was serious.
Echo Christian Council. To me, one minya call from me your friends and security down. Also for I hope will be a bahadum. And me have a schedule that day meaning what will be a me expecting. Or say, and I'm saying one free. Or some penufo be a free a baimu. And I'm so for a baimu saying, oh me a one more. Also, me a Christian Council for. And I'm so okay, Omumra. Your mobile da by sorry no who issues and who and Tokwano.
Yeah.
And ubi I making reference me omumbe na me nkyere omo ye in church no ye gidie ne standard. Na omumfa emfa enjeje asem na abesi oda ban no. And Kadio, shall one more say, one more for then, or me say, or more.
Yes. No, Mumu buy or have a catch and say, I mean, I said, more than CC one time. What is this? What is this? Church in a preacher need free man. Now, ya teacher in mutain, not Cromona, ya wears here.
Yeah,
ya teacher in mutain, not Cromona, ya wears here.
Do you over 80 such way? It may take it 3, 4, 5 years, and somebody went to my cocoa preacher.
Say, Nancy, baby, of course, a back issue back on. church ni mu ache ya mu ache sem bebre kromo ofo no aboko adu na mo asori amoko ni ade na we ugina bonten ka che nkofo se omudi humeda na Christopher humeda ni we omudi humeda no nsremo eni na Paul e kan wa ha se munti munti a enye nyango munti yenti o se nyankopon din wa mamamu
me na me di kan
me say me kan
so it's time say you be dream
we start to re-examine some me say me na me I think 2 years old yes 1 year na mama bi papa bi aba me ku fia pam papa bi aba or issue bi in fact not so we preach as you know say my state channel at the visa it obo punu no
obo sa so papa we
me ba obo punu say me heso for na me say okay kasa no say me heso for I'm so me others so for I'm say yeah I don't so na me cast of mumra and I'm video more chance the class of it now or describe a member be actually but the way you see the details no the funny thing is a member no ebuno yes what did see big time so we money bibi and we dwane or when our friend on fat near in fact I said the police you know me lock member the member was locked but he say member no mass was locked and do you know the idea emarahu the emarahu ni asoma catch them say assembly na Kamediko police station ba me sere wo a me say mo ye Christopher mo so ai ye ne mo de sum nyame look at ono no obi ase no catch him say ye ni nyina ye sum nyame kro look at this e be dem convert no ye ni nyina sum nyame kro na me ansa na me de Kamediko police station say me de beto woni mu ansa na waka bi ansa na Kamediko masa me ye kan akwa isi onye and tell the police for be fan papa no call local no ma police for be fan no pua o da mu kakra say we ja sori ba ni kreni asoma Paul can it's not just in the books, it's not just in the sad thing is that it's in reality
unim I say we all and the best thing pan say you be fa youth na yaka niema omoye Emma Yankopon enim gu ase e wa amaama mu na yafa asofo yerenom yen because ya the bibre ama asabakafo asambakafo yerenom o yere ka ho jo o yere ka ho menso me yere ka ho ena asambakafo a wo mo yerenom o hwe ye nyina ada achom be hwe sa video yi o mo so ka ho de ekwan amofa so kasa ekwan amofa so yam ho kire asorema sa asoreba asemba de wo amusi ye no ni de wo amusi etietia no de wo amusi bu sa na yema nyina ye nema obi ehu ana wote no okoka ede anim guase ebre Kristo ene asafo no yen ankasa yemu emma ahodo de ye yemu ye friends emma ahodo de omo ye de awarefo ye wo fie ahodo mu ene omo nse no mo a omo nya Kristofo wo mo a omo kununom ekununom de omo ye omo yerenom ma ekopie omo yerenom abusuafo animu a omo nya Kristofo mesese ya kasa nsem ya kanye na asem ojo
na je boboye no kura ni se o ti asori mama ba ko ti asori no na abusuapanyi etwemanso nto ti asori etibo se da kro bi na ebia asema bane ade na abusuapanyi pu abu anu abe report ya be report no aso se akwa we amone eti se abro no we so ko asori de ono efi ho na otwemanso ni panyi na akon ofi ho enso na ni pay na leading us up ni pay the preaching Sunday ni pay ana mema ona say mema anye ko mu asori no no yenya no mo no anye
yo don't you think say yemu do na ye preach e ta be jira say me amigina mo animi enye say me otrini ni em say adobi abebie na no akasa say yes mani si form
yes me red because me red flag is one now the entire red flag say now what papa be and he's still alive, he's still in the church now what papa be no congregation me ko mu no in fact, me try many call me I really because I mean when I started I got baptized in the church and stuff, and I'm with some I really I don't want to say regret, but there are things I really heard in the church, which I really think those people were not supposed to be allowed to preach anywhere. Because they were not just sermon, they were just Sunday as so. Babekasa, na akoya kasa, no kind of bro nsem so. And one of the things that really not a type bama dream back when they say there was this man who always come to church Sunday. Say, I don't know person or say your church leader, take your person the mass sermon there. They are not bama sermons, time sermons. Now that Obama sermons. The passage back one or taika is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, I think verse 12. The end is so we know on ye no ahwiase. Na same be obeka bia ne say mo sorry amosumu jejina ho. Mo hu anama hwehwe and yeah, him a brabo. She means someone make can never hear adwuma. Sa no be catch no. And me na me realize is why he was saying that. In fact, na me church mu say the reason is that says Ochalotu. And the town people know, people have been complaining about, the church has been complaining about it. But because of that, the Oyano or Piso Bijino Nimano, I catch us, him my brother was Nemutia 7 then Yakupa 7. And that was sad, so pathetic. And then a poor air can hey. Say Munti or say Yakupo D Amamemo. Woe to us, that's the point. Woe to us. If it is said of us. Send Daniel catch the book at Nizar, the book at this, and Sadi, maybe we should cry out townful.
Mo
Woe to us, say, ye baby shama and say, Nipa Behaya Casse. Ah, Nakopo pa na musumi. Kisusumu penny. Say, Kisusumu penny, the enemy sorry. It's sad, but it do happen. Sabra Bono, any as somewhere cano. A babra. There's clear-cut distinction between what we utter, what we teach, what we preach, and what we are doing. It's not adoye per se. I'm not into that. No. I'm talking about a life that really reflects Jesus Christ. I'm trying my best to magnify Christ in my body. To be seen more clearly through my living.
Now, Joe, we will make our deeds, our behavior, conduct, it will be sounding so loud to say the air can be and people will not hear us.
They will not hear us, yeah.
Because when I imagine, say, now my office be, I could be sending bufua our office wa. Joe, says Obian Patano.
That be
Obian Patano. And this person say, ye baby, ye party be office on there. Say he's so quick to let us pray, let us not need the will be see no bonfire. Like I said, I don't know why. Like seriously. And sometimes I those days, me to be down to me who say, so am I really a Christian? Because I could be down more. Need the will be see no. Now I feel I'm say and this guy send the bufu office wa. He's all over the place. Oh, and these are some of the things that in America, Yeni Emba, a quite fast to Casatre, a Maufi, or man or more do teens, or more, 9 years, 10 years, Bano, or more do certain level be the way we see no more Casa, the way a cranny BB, I will see a can any more be any thinking, say, Yen. No. And Kalano, though they are building their own character, their own, self-esteem. But where they would mujina or trouble or munina like what trouble back or munina any other. These are things that minianum. Ye build it and Tim Kalano, I share your cross, sorry, no, share, hey, pay no lady loss a pay or no on one I'm in the coffee.
Yeah.
Or Yamisano.
And that is one of the reasons why most cry church, and sometimes they leave the church.
Yeah.
Because they see their father and mothers in the church. They see them in the house and their life that they are living.
And they get confused as to who are they. For point, Joe, so you are right, sir. This is the hypocrisy of the Jews. Now, Joe, you 25 to 29 on count chapter.
Chapter, yes. Or say, but and from 29 to 25 to I think 29, it's just asking the question, who is the real Jew?
Yeah.
You see, in your minds, and the Jews, now pause, no, to what I mean, show. You can't say Jew ni why. Who is the real Jew? Oh, that's the idea. And look at
the point, I mean, to add to what you're saying. So, in their minds, there are certain acts to be and they make you a Jew. There are certain acts to be and they make you Church of Christ.
Yeah.
Good.
Cantons. Yes.
What I say?
To the Jew, no, say you're trying to chat here.
Yep.
We Jew.
Joe, one of the minor prophets, you see this phrase, you be on my ref, is it Hosea or Nahum? One of them. Rent your heart.
Rent your heart, not your garment.
Not your garment.
It's Joel.
Joel, yeah, Joel.
Was it
right? That is, I think that's the picture I was one for the Bemaya has said. Mumo twetweti and they're fine. Physically, yeah, on your bottle. Physically on your bottle.
Yeah.
But on my memory, no your bottle. Na bra born in the obi a twetweti asen wo a wo so on your bottle. Onu ye clean e onyame anim sen. I think that's the picture of the Bemaya.
I say, for indeed the circumcised is of value if you practice the law. But if you are a transgressor of the law, your circumcision has become circumcised. Did you Paul say, well, no home for swearing. No home for swearing say, Udi man so dear, and you're not and treat your child ye for swammer. But so they are now just your channel. What be
for so be any so.
Verse 26. So if the uncircumcised man keeps the requirement of the law, will not his uncircumcision be regarded as circumcision?
It will.
And I mean to also.
They say it will.
It will. It's a question. And he who is physically uncircumcised, if he keeps the law, will not judge of you, though having the letter of the law and the circumcision are a transgressor of the law. For he is not a Jew who is one outwardly, nor is circumcised that is outward in the flesh, but he is a Jew who is one inward, and circumcision is that which is by heart, but is by heart by the Spirit, and not by the letter, and the praise of is not from men but from God. So Paul say, Jew ni why ni Jew ni de emu no ohe Jew ni
akoma no mu no
ho no ohe Jew ni odi mra no so de mra no ye adwuma se de se nse ne ya ne ka no me chef da bi me ha ho Kristo ni na ye Kristo ya pampo forum asomfo kane so we sa outwardly ye be hu is best to work out is best to work from outside out inward, from inside to outward, than trying to work outward in. Shasie wo mu no ne clean mu no siesie mu no yie hihye mu no manentene na abontene so atene. Eti Paul se why ni Jew ni why ni Kristo ni nya de wode somebody abona ne kokoso. I'm a Christian.
I'm a member. I'm proud to be a member of the Church of Christ.
No, not that one. Not that one. Nemo dear onam abrabotine neso. deɛ Nyankopɔn asɛm woka no ɔyɛ no na odi soɔ no Bible say na inwardly no ɔyɛ Jew ni, and that is what the text says. But that maybe you have to conclude with us with some few words. Is there a break?
Yes, verse 25 no say Osikano, for circumcision is indeed profitable if you keep the law. It will be my circumcise, but se wunni Nyankopɔn mmara no so a emfa so bi ani so. But if you are a breaker of the law, your circumcision has become uncircumcision. Interesting. Also, Paul say, "E wo say atwa otwatia de na nso so no. Se wunni mmara no so a, ete se wo ye momrotoni." And I said, therefore, if an uncircumcised man keep the righteous requirement of the law, will not his uncircumcision be counted as circumcision? And I say he will. What I say, and I say, and will not the physically uncircumcised, if he fulfills the law, judge you, who even with your written code and circumcision are a transgressor of the law? For he is not a Jew who is one outwardly, nor is circumcised, or nor is circumcision, that which is outward in the flesh. Eti Joe, media, or some of Paul some okay, no, it's so clear the mind. Say, it is not Adena Woyan or Bonteno, and a mouth Daniel Christoni. A Joe, Mianka emphasis to the also say, and also interest a man yard the power bontain. That is not what he's saying. It is ma and found what one say, Adena de Christosum de Akumamu, it and yet the mayor of Bontinemum. The imagine any the a woman need Migidia. That is not true. That is not what Paul is saying. What do I say? If you are guilty, you change from today. That is the beauty of Christianity. And can Abia Enra meno you be see abu queen. But a no yawa akwanya said the yati ye best such a free home. Now Joe, you tell Yankopon as say Nasi intimates such a free there. Then there's a problem. Then, and then, Chrisosumna, a woman for so bena, a waso. Now, this chapter has been an interesting chapter, starting from a year, the prejudice, Jew for no war. How more Jane said, one more, Osman Paul should give it to the Gentiles. Family mom in chapter 1, family mom, Obedu chapter 2, no say. Na monso mu ye excuse ana you are not excuse mu amomote embrano ase embrano mu wo mu bibia munim Nyankopon munim se do sitie munim de waye ye kana one asem kire mo ne angels any mo forefathers I encounter no ma kiro adisem ahodo e de ato no monso so what do you do monso so den na mo ye na mo sorry a outwardly mu pese obi ahu se mu ye Jew ni o de chebata ebe butu uti now I shatari you now the name sense ukom a e kire se ye Jew ni nanso wakoma mu no o ye worse than obi a oye mumnotuni. Same way is my prayer say Joe, nobody will say it about us. Nobody will stand anywhere to say it. Now say I have some mistakes now, Joe. And they yensa yan konko correct it. Say enra na ne ya brabo enra na ne ya say ya. Man nen krofon hunu bibi papa bibi foforo. Na omonka say akwe wasesa. Akwe non ko ti say you say want to say bio. Can we do that? Can we glorify our God with a little that we have? I think we can. Jada ni starting ne. Joe, when him say interestingly, bosume no ende ne. Na bosume ne ende ne no. Ye ende chapter 2 so ne. Ene ye ende assembly serious I catch hypocrisy. Can we end it today and begin tomorrow with a new blood, with a new life? Joe, or chance your question. Can we start afresh? Maybe we have not started the year on a good note. But Joe, we have already spent 31 days out of the 365. But this year, Christ is going to be 366. And it'll be 365 now. 365 now. And yeah, leap year. Joe, we have already spent 31 days out of the 365. 333 days now, 34 days, 334 days, Joe. At the end of the day, can we make it better? Can we please God? Can we make it shine so that Onyankopon obe rejoice say adane free marathon na ya be de yo Awurade asem say odeboeni ewuo enye onu Nyankopon fe de ne fe ne say ye atene for na ebewuo na jo sa last 31st December no me kan wansem minim say 1st December na me kan was 1st January you de me kan ne say this year a woman no my mom empire say am I you because empire no it makes no sense say over can't tell Nyankopon say nobody should die and no the ANC owo ni de ebeba life and colored na jo esi afi mu kran say bebre na akọ me bo ana it owo ni de ebeba but yemmo ye na brabo say o kyan ye betimawu na jo ye wu a yensre nyame se dana ebewu no yengu da jo yene nintem papa and this is the opportunity I dey eman nintem papa sen sem ya tie no enne no jo ebe dana yen yakoma ene ya brabo na ma ya fata frɛ no na da chi oto ne nsa frɛ ya jo ye kwa na ye de sede ne anigye ene ekɔ yen look back nka se me kɔ ne sen yen ko wo bra obema bi ti ba bi ka se etiga we pa wo we onene te church ni mu munim de mo ye ho na yo obeka se obi aka se sister we pa se de no sitie na bra bi wo church ni mo ka se mu de munim ba bi okọ. I am praying say Joe, those things will not happen to us. Na emom se ebekọ a na ekọ no papa mu na ekọ na nije mu se ebe pie Onyankopon anim Joe. It has been an exciting day, Joe. And
yeah, that's an exciting day. Yeah, and Bible, say it is prayer that at the point of our death we have no serious regret. Bible say nuhu ankasa we wechi nimom eliji mu ye bekwa ko ishe Nyankopon. As danka Brashadrak say obejoin me no me na ye dwendwen twesem. As don't come and you know more comment section, I can see so many comments in here. I can be fine, but I don't do me that's in the this year. Now yes, we are still studying the book of Romans, and our topic is reading Romans right. Makra obi bia. But more than say because I can't Bible no Bible. Benjai unenyo no munhie mu se ukwa asori acha abomoden na enwano mo benwa sachira dwene no na ene enwano mo nkosom if say Nyankopon ahye se yenye ne sa e be say
next week no ye chapter 3.
Yep,
another powerful and very insightful passage. Yeah,
God, next week we are meeting and be talking about chapter 3. Nyankopon am I agdom kwan e be ka chapter 3 ho asem makro bibia. Bye bye. Jesus,